So I have a problem. Well, I have lots of problems, but one of them is for my travel and wedding films. I currently have this Zhiyun crane version 2. I have a Sony Alpha setup and I love this gimbal for small lenses like the 28mm prime lens, but when it comes to like bigger lenses like 24 to 105mm or 35mm 1.4 prime lens, even though this gimbal can hold it up within its specs, it was just way too wobbly for this type of work I was doing. One of my many jobs is to create cinematic wedding videos, and I need these shots to be buttery smooth. I mean like real buttery. Ask Fabio.
I can't believe it's not butter.
And I really need to be able to use other heavier lenses, so I got the new Weebill Lab with 6.6 pounds max load capacity. That's a lot of weight. Imagine going to a grocery store and getting like 6 pounds of apples or potatoes. Now imagine that on top of this gimbal. Yeah, I couldn't either. So still, I bought this gimbal thinking even if it supported half that weight, I'll be very happy. Problem is, I've been testing out this gimbal and ended up with some mixed feelings. Now, I have to decide if I'm going to keep this gimbal, so let's talk about it. We'll start with some of my gotcha moments with this gimbal. First is this interesting quick release mounting plate. At a glance, it's slim, it's sexy. I mean, like, look at it. It's like Manfrotto had a baby with Arca Swiss, at least on paper. And you might be thinking, Arca what? Okay, here, this is an Arca Swiss compatible plate. For me, this is like a Swiss knife for all of my mounting gear. It's small and there's just so many compatible systems with this. I have the Peak Design belt clip that I put this camera on, and I have the Joby tripod with Arca Swiss ball head. I have the tripod with the same setup. One day I'll go over all these gears, but the point is I have a lot of Arca Swiss gear. Problem is, this is not a two-way compatible Arca Swiss quick release plate. I can take the plate that that came with the gimbal and put it in any of these gear, but I cannot take another Arca Swiss plate and put it on this Weebill Lab plate, and there's no way to just tighten this thing. Manfrotto plate, on the other hand, is two-way compatible. You can take any standard Manfrotto plate and put it on the Weebill Lab and vice versa. Second thing that got me a little bit is their app. One of the newest features of this gimbal is their wireless image transmission system. Say what? You can view what your camera sees on your phone and control the settings? Yes please. With a couple setting changes on my camera, this feature actually worked. Then the novelty wore off quickly though. When I saw the image was like had a slight delay to it, and the changing of the camera settings on the fly was a little clunky since you couldn't actually see the numeric values of the settings until you let go of your finger from the slider. That's not very run and gun for me. I also realized, wait a minute, I already had this app feature on my Sony a7 III. Personally, I'd rather change my settings and see what the camera sees directly on the camera. Also, the phone holder is not included with the gimbal. Little misleading since you clearly see that on the box, as you can see right here. And on the reseller website. I mean, I know that the camera doesn't come with this since it's grayed out, but that mount could look like it could come with the gimbal. When I get a gimbal, I like to tweak the sensitivity setting a little bit so it's a little more cinematic than the factory default. Like most apps these days, there's a gear icon on the settings. What's not like most apps is that you can only get to the detail adjustment setting by exiting out of the actual camera connection and switching over to your phone camera view. What? Then you'll see these settings. I think I'm spoiled by like DJI and Apple menu interface, but that was another gotcha moment. Before all this, the firmware update on the app failed twice before finally installing the update. The update downloads via Wi-Fi, but the phone tries to connect to the gimbal via Wi-Fi too, and then tries to disconnect and connect and back and forth. You just have to try a couple times to make it work, but I am at firmware version 1.82 right now. So you're probably thinking, dude, return that gimbal, easy decision. Well, I haven't gotten to the good parts yet. Aside from fancy phone app support, I got this gimbal because my old one just wasn't cutting it when it comes down to really heavy lenses, right? Here's my heavy setup, Sony a7 III with 35mm f1.4 prime lens. Together this weighs... So how did it do? Amazing, this aviation grade motors were straight out of some alien lab. I was wondering why this is called Weebill Lab. It's smaller than the Crane version 2 motors, but while using it, it never felt like it was struggling even when I was jogging it, and it didn't wobble with this heavy setup. It was responsive, solid, and just so much more comfortable than what I was used to. The underslung mode felt so much more secure and comfortable in my hands. I mean, this is how most gimbals are held in inverted mode. I mean, I got in gimbal tunnel syndrome holding these upside down, a true story. Even when using it at upright position, this battery compartment sits on top of your hand so that heavy setup is not all on your fingers. I'm definitely gonna have to get that quick release plate tripod handles though, because you know, it takes a lot of time just going back and forth unscrewing every time you go to underslung mode. Finally, the icing on the cake here is that this thing folds up so small. It fits inside my daughter's little palm, and it fits right inside the front pocket of my in-case camera bag. To me, practicality means a lot when it comes to camera gears. Yeah, the fancy phone app is nice, but when it comes to run and gun shoots, you just need a gimbal that works as fast as you can. That's one of the reasons why I didn't get the Ronin S. You need to like connect to your phone app to calibrate it, and most importantly, it doesn't fold up small like this one. So if you have a heavier mirrorless setup around like 1500 grams, and if you're looking for a small, comfortable gimbal that you just need to pack it in your bag and just go, this is the gimbal. And also, I think Zhiyun is Sony biased. I know they're not allowed to put other companies' logo in their product photos, but look at their quick start guide. I mean, look at the shape of that camera. Totally a Sony. So, I'm keeping it. I also want to be able to say I got 99 problems, but gimbal ain't one. I'll try to do a long-term review and maybe go over some of the sensitivity settings and the app features. I'm almost done with all my wedding videos edits for this year, so I'm going to make it happen. Maybe. Probably. Yeah. Let's make it happen. For now, I'm going to think of some of the past memories with this Crane version 2 before I sell it. Sorry. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Later.